What if I told you one of the world's biggest businesses doesn't actually sell airplane tickets? Every single day, millions of people walk through airports without ever wondering how these massive places actually make money. Some airports that are larger than entire cities. They have their own roads, their own train stations, their own hotels, their own shopping malls, their own police, their own fire departments, their own power systems, and thousands of employees working 24 hours a day. From the outside, an airport looks like a place where airplanes land and take off. But behind every runway lies one of the most complicated businesses ever built. Every flight that arrives starts a chain reaction. Passengers spend money, shops open, restaurants fill, parking lots earn revenue, cargo moves, fuel is delivered, ground crews begin working. Hundreds of businesses come alive because of one airplane. Building just one modern international airport can cost billions of dollars. Some of the world's largest airports cost more than entire skyscrapers, more than sports stadiums, even more than some small towns. But here's the question that almost nobody asks. If airports cost so much to build, how do they ever make that money back? Is it the airlines, the passengers, the government, or is there something else happening behind the scenes? Because here's something that surprises most people. For many airports, airplanes aren't actually the biggest source of profit. In fact, some airports make more money from cars, coffee, shopping, advertising, and real estate than from airplanes themselves. So, where does all that money actually come from? To answer that, we first need to understand what it really takes to build an airport. Everything begins with something far bigger than a runway. It begins with land, not just a few acres, thousands of acres, large enough to build multiple runways, taxiways, passenger terminals, cargo terminals, maintenance hangars, fuel storage, control towers, parking garages, hotels, roads, rail connections. Future expansion. Finding that much land near a major city is already one of the biggest challenges, and buying it can cost hundreds of millions before construction even begins. Then comes one of the largest expenses in the entire project: the runways. Unlike ordinary roads, airport runways must support aircraft weighing hundreds of tons. Every landing creates enormous force. Every takeoff places tremendous stress on the pavement. That's why runways require multiple layers of reinforced materials, advanced drainage systems, precision engineering, and constant maintenance. Building a single runway can cost hundreds of millions of dollars, and many international airports don't have just one. They have two, three, sometimes even six in separate runways. But surprisingly, the runways are only the beginning, because the most expensive building inside an airport isn't the runway, it's the terminal. And that's where the real complexity begins. The terminal, for most airports, it's the single most expensive building ever constructed. From the outside, it looks like a giant waiting room: glass walls, check-in counters, security lines, departure gates. But underneath, thousands of hidden systems are working every second. Miles of conveyor belts move baggage through an underground maze. Thousands of security cameras watch every corner. Air conditioning runs 24 hours every single day. Escalators, elevators, moving walkways, digital displays, emergency systems, backup generators. Every system must continue operating, even if the power fails, because an airport never truly closes. Every hour of downtime can cost millions of dollars. Then comes the control tower. one of the most important buildings inside the airport. Every aircraft landing, taking off, taxiing, or crossing a runway depends on air traffic controllers. One mistake can affect hundreds of flights, thousands of passengers, millions of dollars. Then there's ground handling. As soon as an airplane parks, the clock starts. Fuel trucks arrive, baggage loaders unload luggage, cleaning crews rush inside, catering trucks refill food, water tanks are replenished, waste is removed, maintenance engineers inspect the aircraft. Every minute, the airplane remains on the ground, costs money. The faster the turnaround, the more flights the airport can handle. But airports aren't just built for passengers. Behind the terminals is another business most travelers never see. Cargo. Every day, millions of packages, electronics, medicine, fresh food, flowers, luxury goods, and industrial equipment travel through airports. Some cargo terminals operate all night long. While passengers sleep, billions of dollars continue moving through the airport. Then there are maintenance hangars, massive buildings large enough to fit entire airplanes, aircraft inspections, engine repairs, painting, component replacement. Every airline depends on these facilities, and every service creates another source of revenue. At this point, you might think airports make most of their money from airlines. Landing fees, parking fees, terminal usage, and yes, those are important. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn, because the biggest profits often begin after you've already left your airplane. The moment you enter the terminal, the airport starts becoming something else. A shopping mall, a restaurant district, a parking business, an advertising company, a real estate company, sometimes all at once. Think about the last time you flew. Did you buy coffee, eat at a restaurant, purchase snacks, visit duty-free, pay for parking, book airport transportation, rent a car? Most people don't realize they're supporting multiple businesses inside the airport, and that's exactly what makes modern airports so fascinating. They're no longer just transportation hubs, they're business ecosystems, thousands of businesses working together inside one giant property, and we still haven't reached the biggest surprise, because in the next part, we'll answer the question everybody wants to know. Where does the airport actually make the most money? Is it the airplanes, the passengers, the shops, or something almost nobody ever notices? Before we uncover that, if you're enjoying discovering how businesses really work, consider subscribing. Every episode, we take apart one real business from the first dollar invested to the last dollar earned. Because once you understand and how businesses make money, you'll never look at see the world the same way again. Let's find out where the real profits actually come from. So, after spending billions of dollars building an airport, is it actually a profitable business? The answer is yes, but not because of airplanes, because here's the biggest misconception about airports. Airplanes bring passengers, passengers bring money. Every person who walks through the terminal creates dozens of opportunities to spend. Parking, coffee, restaurants, duty-free shopping, luxury stores, car rentals, airport hotels, currency exchange, advertising, VIP lounges. Without realizing it, every passenger becomes part of the airport's business model. That's why the world's most successful airports don't just compete for airlines, they compete for passengers. The longer people stay inside the terminal, the more likely they are to spend. That's why modern airports keep adding better restaurants, luxury shopping, premium lounges, hotels, entertainment, even gardens and museums, not just to impress travelers, but to encourage them to stay longer, and passengers who stay longer usually spend more money. But if airports can generate billions every year, why don't all airports have become successful? Because building the airport is only the beginning. Running it is the real challenge. Passenger numbers rise and fall, fuel prices change, construction costs increase, security becomes more expensive, technology never stops evolving, airlines open new routes, others leave completely. One unexpected event can reduce millions of passengers almost overnight. The airports that survive aren't always the biggest. They're the ones that adapt the fastest. They improve efficiency, expand commercial spaces, reduce costs, create better passenger experiences, and most importantly, they never depend on just one source of income. Because diversification turns an airport from expensive infrastructure into a long-term business. So, is owning an airport worth it? If it's well-planned, well-located, professionally managed, and constantly improving, it can generate billions of dollars for decades. But airports aren't built with concrete alone. They're built with logistics, retail, hospitality, technology, real estate, transportation, finance, and millions of people moving together every single day. That's the real economics of owning an airport. But here's something you've probably never thought about. The next business almost everyone uses at least once every week. It sells millions of liters every single day. Its biggest profits often don't come from the fuel itself. And if electric vehicles are the future, how can gas stations still survive? In the next episode, we're uncovering the economics of a gas station. How much does it cost to build one? Who actually owns the fuel? Why are fuel margins so incredibly small? And if gasoline barely makes money, where do gas stations really earn their profits? The answers is one of the biggest surprises in the retail business. So if you enjoy discovering the hidden economics behind the world's most fascinating businesses, consider subscribing. Every episode, we break down one real business, from the first dollar invested to the last dollar earned. No hype, no myths, just the real economics behind the businesses you see every single day. Because once you understand how money really flows through businesses, you'll never drive past an airport, a coffee shop, or even a gas station the same way again. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the gas station.